All right, I think we are live on YouTube. What's going on, people? We are live from the new studio, and I got a lot to fill you in on. I don't know what's going on in your life. I hope things are going well and that you're busy and happy and content and fulfilled and all that good stuff. We have so much going on right now. Like, my head is ready to explode. There are not enough hours in the day, and if there was ever a time for me to find a DeLorean with a flux capacitor so I go back in time to arrange a few things slightly differently so that we had a little more time right now, this would be it, because we're working so hard. And of course, now we got the big 3-day weekend, which already we're just saying right now that we're going to be working through because there's a lot going on. So you might hear some banging while I'm doing this, and you might hear a couple screams and some things crashing, but we are building this out. So as you guys know, my team of David and Amira, we've got a couple other people that are helping us just sort of out of the goodness of their heart. We're working hard, and so what you're seeing behind me right now is our brick wall. So that part of that brick wall was from our set on Aura. They gave us some of our set, and by the way, as I've said a couple times already, the Aura people they wish me the best. Larry King, by the way, is executive producer of my new show. So Larry and I are still friends. Not only are we friends, we have breakfast together. He gets his old crew, and they have breakfast 5 days a week in Beverly Hills, and I've officially been invited, so I've been going out to breakfast with them. They argue about politics and sports, and they tell old jokes, and it's really cool and fun and just awesome that I'm even included in something like that. Anyway, so yeah, and as I've said also, I may end up licensing some of these shows back to Aura, and we can figure out some other distribution deals and all kinds of good stuff. So it's all good and very exciting. So I'm going to show you some of the new stuff that we've been doing. And by the way, we are still raising funds on Patreon. So it's patreon.com/Rubin Report. We're over the 20K thing, so we know our runway is good to go. We really want to hit 30 because then we can hire at least one more full-time employee, probably two, and get an editor, get someone to maybe do some PR. We do this all on our own, all the PR, all the editing, all of that stuff. And the more people that we hire, the more shows that we can do, the more shows that we can do, the more YouTube money we generate, the more YouTube money we generate, the more money we have to do bigger and better. We can maybe get a small live studio audience in here, which I would love. I want to take the show on the road more. I want to maybe do like a weekly news thing. I don't want to do the daily news roundup because it's just so much noise, and you end up just talking about little nonsensical minutia just for the sake of talking, which is not something that I'm interested in doing. So we have huge plans. So first off, what I'm going to do right now is my Patreon people, my people that have donated on Patreon, there's about 3,000 of you so far. And for all 3,000 of you guys can consider yourselves producers. I think you consider yourself producers of the Rubin Report, because that's what a producer does. A producer produces. And what does that mean? That basically means you throw the money in to make a production happen. And that's what you guys have done. So whether you've given $1 or $20 or $2.50, whatever it is per month, you've given us the runway to make something great. So on Patreon right now, I sent out to my Patreon people, I'm going to answer their questions. The YouTube comment section here is a total mess. I'll try to get to some of those too, but I am going to answer all the Patreon people first. So that's the advantage of being in on Patreon. And by the way, these live videos are also going to be part of the tiers on Patreon. We've got live group chat, sort of like WhatsApp with me and whoever else. You get push notifications when I'm online. A lot of cool stuff, and Skype one-on-ones and all that good stuff. So anyway, just quickly, for the people that have donated on Patreon, just a special shout out and thanks to you guys, because you are literally making my dreams come true. Like this is working now because of you. And as I said to you in the note that I sent you guys a couple days ago, in a different video that I did, when I went to bed that Sunday night before we did this, I didn't know what the next day was going to bring. Was it all over? You know what I mean? Would me resigning from Aura and bringing my guys with me, was it going to be the worst professional decision and personal decision I ever made? Well, it's pretty obvious that the answer is no. So I'm very excited. So, okay. So I'm going to answer a couple of your questions, and I want to give you guys a little tour of what's going on over here. There is a lot happening at the moment. Scott wants to know my favorite band. Bounces around a little bit. I'd say probably my favorite all-time band is Journey. I love Journey. I saw them Journey live about a year ago in Orange County. I went with David and with Kelly Carlin, and we got busted for smoking weed at a Journey concert. So, but I love Journey. I also love Fleetwood Mac. I love Billy Joel. I love a lot of jazz. Annika saying IKEA and Target. We've bought a lot of stuff at IKEA and Target. I'm going to show you some of it in just a second. Let's see. Joseph says, what do you think could be your greatest contribution to political discourse? I think more than anything else, it's the reason that you guys come here. And I don't think it's rocket science, but I guess these days it is, which is that I like listening to people. And I don't feel that every thought that I have is 100% correct. And I don't think that I know everything. And everyone on television knows everything about everything. Anytime something, forget television, everyone in media thinks they know everything all the time. And they always, no matter what happens, something happens in North Korea, they know everything about North Korea. Something happens in the Middle East, they know exactly what's going on in the Middle East. Something happens in our government here, they know exactly how the government works. And it's like, it's all bullshit. You're all liars. Stop pretending you know everything. You know, we had the best example of this I can think of is the Cuba. You know, we unthawed our relations with Cuba, I guess about a year ago now. And it's like suddenly people who I had never, ever seen once tweet about Cuba suddenly knew everything to tell you about Cuba. And it's like, you're all liars and frauds. I care about having some breadth of knowledge, and there's some things I know more about and some things I know less about. But that's why I want to talk to people, because there are people that are experts in some of these things. And all these people on the news, they pretend to know everything all the time, and it's nauseating. And everyone's seeing through it now, too, which is actually pretty great. So that is pretty great. Let's see. Kristen says, have you had any success converting a regressive? 100% yes, because I get emails from you guys all the time saying that you used to be far left and then you saw the social justice stuff, or you just saw the stuff that was happening on college campuses with trigger warnings and safe spaces and the constant attacking of free speech, or you saw the slandering of Sam Harris or any of that stuff. And that partly by watching my show, you thought, wow, there's other people out here who think like me. So that's pretty fucking fantastic. That's really fucking fantastic. All right, let's see what else is going on here. Christopher says, if you could get any guest, doesn't have to be topical, who would it be? And he offered up a couple great ones here. Christopher definitely knows me. George Lucas, Harrison Ford, Clyde Drexler, Derek Jeter. I would love to have all four of those. So of course, George Lucas is in my top 10 of all time. So much of what I love was born out of Star Wars, and I have a 7-year-old nephew now who's as obsessed with Star Wars as I am. He's watched all 7 of them, and I was actually sitting next to him on the couch when we were watching Empire Strikes Back, and Vader says, you know, Luke, I am your father, and watching like his like world, just you could see it in his eyes, just explode. And he saw my dad, his grandfather, took him to Force Awakens. So I love Star Wars. So yeah, George Lucas, of course. Harrison Ford, of course I would. I mean, Indiana Jones and Star Wars and The Fugitive, and he's been in just a gajillion great movies. And you know, he's very shy when he's on a lot of talk shows. And I don't think he really likes doing them, but I think I could get him to open up a bit. Clyde Drexler, I'm glad you mentioned that one. Where's Clyde? We got Clyde here. This is going to be on the new set. Just brought it in this morning. This is Clyde the Glide when he was on the Houston Rockets. I think this is from '96, terrible jersey. But Clyde's my favorite basketball player of all time. He was thought of really as sort of second only to Michael Jordan, but played in Portland and in Houston, two small markets. So never got the accolades he deserved, but eventually did win a championship and sort of taught me that you can do something gracefully and that you can win. You can win in the end, so that's nice. Pat says, will you ever take your show on the road? I can help you if you come to Vancouver. I would love to go to Vancouver. I've never been, and I have a friend up there. Yeah, one of the things we want to do is start taking the show on the road. I want to do some more on college campuses. Actually, I'm going to be doing some speaking at college campuses soon. And yeah, very cool. Brian says 4th of July plans. So we have so much freaking work to do. Literally right before we started this live stream, we were all basically like, we're gonna have to work over the weekend. So we'll figure it out. I have a wedding on the 3rd, and then I'm sure actually Kelly Carlin throws a great July 4th party. Forgot about that. So we gotta get to that thing. And she has there's a guy on her street who's like a fireworks maniac. But he's also he's in the fire department also. So he sets up I'm probably telling you too much information here, but he sets up what I think is probably the most illegal and dangerous fireworks display you've ever seen. I'll videotape it and put it on Twitter or something. And it's just awesome and insane, and you know, we get really stoned, and it's great. Okay, so let's see what else is going on here. Dardenfall says, Dave, thanks for everything. Do you think Nero Milo is a bit reckless at times? Reckless, I assume you mean that he doesn't watch his words or measure his words maybe as much as me. I think that's possible. That's possible. But, as I've said about him many times, everyone in the public space does things differently, right? You have people that are just sort of more provocateurs, that intentionally say things to get a conversation going, to maybe upset people or excite people or whatever. Then you have people who are a little more measured and want to really dig into something and unpack ideas and things like that. And you need all of those people. So that's why my alliance with him, even though we disagree on some political stuff, it's like, I think the free speech stuff is what brings us together more than anything else. So, and actually I'm going to see him tonight. So I'll ask him what he thinks about that. Jared says, favorite band is Journey. Homosexuality card checks out. Is Journey thought of as gay? I don't think Journey is thought of as gay. There were like no gay people there, really? I'll have to look into that. Mel says he sings Journey well at karaoke. They're a very karaokeable band, that is for sure. Amos says, how can we bring humility back to public discourse where people admit they don't know things? I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. I don't know everything. I don't know why that seems so incredibly difficult to say. Nobody knows. Actually, everyone that pretends they know everything, the more someone tells you they know everything, and they somehow know everything about every political topic and everything, they're really showing you that it's the less that they know. And this is one of the things, look, I'm a liberal. I've always been liberal, and that's always been part of the left. But this is something where people on the left now, this regressive left, this is where they've failed miserably, because I find that they so rarely actually know anything and they deny facts. But what they do is they get outraged. So they're so outraged, and you're such a racist, and you're so beneath them just for existing, that they can just make you feel bad so that you stop saying what you think. It is so dangerous, and that's why we must destroy them. We must hunt them down like, the stormtroopers hunted down the Jedi after Order 66. Now, that was a reverse of the good guy, bad guy situation there, so that wasn't the best example. So I'd probably strike that from the record. Okay. Dave, this is from Mel. Do you recognize a specific pivotal memory when you realized the left was regressing? There were a couple of things. I mean, the one that I've talked about the most, and I think many of you have said this to me also, was the moment that Sam Harris was on Real Time, because when Ben Affleck called him and Bill Maher gross and racist, in effect, Bill, who had been the standard bearer of the left always fighting for the other and for minorities and all that, and all Sam did was repeat Pew polls and said nothing gross nor racist. And it was such a blatant example of Ben Affleck, this moral indignation that was nothing. It was just nonsense. And think about, for your own life, if you were in an argument with somebody, how long it would take you to tell them that they were racist, right? You would never in the first 2 minutes, you start arguing with somebody, you would never in the first 2 minutes throw out "you're racist," unless they said something completely over the top, right? So in that, he was just locked and ready to go with that. But I thank Affleck now, because he woke me up and he woke up a lot of people. But there had been things before that, a lot of things on the left. Charlie Hebdo, really, where suddenly people were saying, no, don't draw cartoons. No, don't offend these people. Guess what? I'm allowed to draw whatever the fuck I want. I'm allowed to say whatever the fuck I want. And my actions and my words have consequences, and you can use your speech to battle my speech if you want. But guess what? If you say, okay, there is one thing I'm not going to draw. There's one thing I'm not going to draw because someone doesn't want me to draw it, even though it has nothing to do with their life. They don't want me to draw it. Well, guess what? That's that same group of people that doesn't want you to do that. They may not want they may not want gay people to be married. They may not want other minorities to be treated okay, and et cetera, et cetera. So if you give them an inch, they're not going to say, okay, look at those guys. They're so great. They gave us an inch. We're going to start being more progressive now and have more liberal, Western, free-thinking values. Of course not. They're going to go, see, we got them. They're afraid of us, and we're going to keep taking more. And this is a huge flaw in the thinking of people on the left. It's embarrassing and it's pathetic, and I got to fight it. That's what I got to do. Let's see. Mohammed says, do you notice a problem with free speech on social media? I'm not totally sure what you mean, but I would say this. I notice a problem for sure when it comes to censoring on social media. YouTube's been doing some censorship. Now we know that that Twitter has been shadow banning people, and Facebook has taken down things from ex-Muslims. I've had to help my friend Faisal out a couple times because organizations that he's worked with have been banned from Facebook. This is a guy whose life's work is to help people in closed societies. So he works closely with ex-Muslims in these countries, and they've had their pages taken down because they claim that their pages are hate speech. I mean, think how backwards this is. So we really have to guard against that stuff. You know, and look, it's also a little bit of uncharted territory because the First Amendment, of course, is the government coming for your free speech. But as I've said before, I don't fear that the government's coming for my free speech anymore. You can say whatever the hell you want about the government. If you anything I said about the government right now, people would go, look at him, he's fighting the power. But you're not really at this point because the government's not at the moment. And not that I'm so in love with the government. What I'm more afraid of is that we're silencing ourselves because of all these cries of racism and all that stuff. Brian says, I'm a patron, and Dave skipped over my question. I didn't see it here. There's a lot of questions. So go, say it again, and I'll try to get you. Alex says, how about a pop star who likes to get political? Maybe Madonna. I would love to have Madonna on. I was at one Madonna concert about 5 years ago at the something tour, the something Hung Up. Was the song Hung Up? Was there a Madonna song, Hung Up?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that tour was. And I was there on Molly. So there you go. Now you got a little insider info for you. I've only done Molly maybe 3 times ever. Let's see. Jared wants to know, are you a slave driver type of boss? I guess I would have to ask my team that. Would you say I'm a slave driver?
No, I think we're like, come on, Dave. Do this.
I'll repeat that in a sec.
Oh, what?
Would you say I'm a slave driver type of boss?
No.
Yeah, no, I'm getting a no. Sometimes they have to, they're better at all the stuff. Like I can stand here and do this, but they're like, these YouTube streams don't magically happen. Walls don't magically get up. You know, I put together this thing that I'm going to show you in a second. But yeah, we just have a great team here. And the thing is more than anything else, and this is when we're able to hire more people, is that it's important to trust the people that you hire. And not only trust them, but know that they're doing the right job. Like, these guys don't want to be me, and I don't want to be them. They're proud to do the great work that they do, and that's why I love having them here. And that's how you create a good team, I think. And that goes for whatever you do. It goes for a sports team or anything else. Couple people have asked something to this effect. This is Einar, says, any advice on how to convert a regressive? All you can do is say what you think. That's it. That really is it. We all have these people. Look, we all have people in our lives, and that's the good thing about life, is that you're around people who think different things. You may not be religious, they might be religious. You might be a Democrat, they might be a Republican. You might be for the death penalty, they might be against it. And the important thing is that you have to be okay with having people who think different things in your life. This wasn't a novel concept 10 years ago, but now it's starting to feel like it's a novel concept. And every time someone posts something that you don't like on Facebook, you defriend them or you ban them or they ban you. We got to get away from that. So I would say the best thing that you can do is argue your case honestly and decently and not get upset at them and not call them names and all that stuff. Every time I've argued privately, sometimes with public people that I either was friends with or that you may know from YouTube or whatever, I argue the same way that I treat this. And I've gotten people that are pretty fucking regressive that I would still say are pretty much in that thing. By the end, I've gotten them to admit that they kind of don't know what they're talking about and that they're just taking this fake moral position. Because if you keep at, well, do you know the history of this? Do you know how this works about this? A lot of their stuff is it's built in feelings, not fact. And you can get them, but you can't be afraid. Don't be afraid to be silenced. That's the most important thing, really. That would be my number one message on almost anything. Gordon says, do you aspire to grow this venture into a new network with other hosts, personalities, and shows? So that's sort of like one of the macro things here. So we have the micro thing, which is getting the show off the ground, which we're getting there. It's happening right this very second. It's very cool. And again, I thank you guys, all you guys, the 3,000 of you on Patreon. I thank you for doing this, for helping me, for believing in me enough and caring about these ideas enough to let me try to build this thing. And then in the bigger sense, yeah, we can start shooting other shows. We have a great setup here at this studio. And when I was at TYT, we had 1 hour per week to shoot. When I was at Aura, we had 2 hours per week. Here, we basically have 5 days, a couple hours a day. So we can build this thing as big as we want. We can stream live from the studio now. We can do so much cool stuff. It will become as big as you guys want to make it and as we can make it. And that's what's so cool about this. By the way, you like my Star Wars shirt? How's that? You don't see Grand Moff Tarkin doesn't get a lot of play these days, but there you go. All right. Couple more, and then I'll give you a little tour. Dardenfall, this is a good one. Sorry, I'm probably overposting, but I find Jon Stewart as guilty as Rush Limbaugh at propagating the divide. You know, that's a really interesting point. I don't know that look, first off, I interned at The Daily Show in 1999, And every little interaction I had with Jon was really nice, and he gave me some great advice, just sort of about the business once, which hopefully I'll get to repeat. If I get him on the show, maybe I can repeat it to him live. Would be nice. I wonder if he even remembers what he said. I doubt it. But he has definitely done some regressive stuff over the years. Right when I'm done with this thing, I highly recommend you guys watch the interview that he did with Ayaan Hirsi Ali about a year and a half ago. And he treated her so poorly and was so dismissive over her, and ended it basically by saying, yeah, you just want to sell books. And it's like, Ayaan Hirsi Ali should be the hero, not of the left or the right, but of pretty much everybody. This is a woman who was born in Somalia, underwent female genital mutilation. She was going to be forced to marry her own cousin. She escaped asylum, I think, in Brussels or in Belgium. Ends up becoming a parliamentarian in Holland. Her friend Theo Van Gogh, doing a documentary about Islamism, is murdered on the street. They pin something to his chest saying, Ayaan, we're coming after you. She now moves to the West, or to the United States, and now is a stalwart defender of liberal values. And you don't have to agree with everything she says politically to know that this woman should be a hero to everyone on the left, every liberal value ever, and everyone on the right, as I said. And the regressives treat her horribly. They hate her. Watch what Greenwald and Reza and Cenk and these clowns, watch what they say about her. And it's like, you guys, think about what she lived through. Think about what she lived through, and she's not good enough for you guys. It's actually disgusting. So that was somehow related to Jon. Yeah, I wish he would have treated her better in that interview. So there you go. Matt says you should have Affleck on. Yeah, I'd love to have Affleck on. Look, I joke about him all the time, of course, and he's an easy target in a certain way. But I would love to just revisit that moment with him, because it did wake up so many people. I would love to sit there and say to him, we could show the clip and then say, so what happened there? Like, really, what happened there? The problem is that he's a huge star, so he only has to talk about things that he wants to, and if he doesn't want to rehash that, he certainly won't. Okay. Do you know the Assassin's Creed video games? It's heroes that are all about fighting, controlling righteousness, control freaks. I didn't know that that's what it's about. I've never played it, actually, but I've seen the commercials before. I should play it. I used to be a huge gamer. And, oh, look at this. I'll show you something cool. Another little hint, hint from the set here. I brought this. This is going to be on the set. This is Herzog Zui from Sega Genesis. I got this, I think, in around 1989. This was one of the first split-screen two-player strategy games, and I spent hours and hours with my brother and friends in the basement playing this game. It was sort of like a very early precursor to like a StarCraft or a Warcraft or all the strategy games that people are playing now. Absolutely freaking love this game. I think it's like the most underrated video game of all time. So the game is not in here. That's at my house, but I got the box here, and I have a Sega Genesis controller here too. All right, so let's pause on the questions for a second. But just a reminder for those of you that are just on YouTube and not on Patreon, it's patreon.com/Rubin Report. We have all kinds of cool rewards where we're going to do more of these videos. So this one I'm making public for everybody, and I'm answering questions from the patrons. But soon they're just going to be for the patrons. We have the patron app, which is free. We're doing live group chat on there. There are one-on-ones with me. You can get T-shirts, mugs, all kinds of cool stuff, and know that you're helping ideas that I think you care about. So if you got a couple bucks and you can jump in, patreon.com/Rubin Report or rubinreport.com/donate. That's awesome, and I appreciate it and everything else. Okay, so now I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a tour, and I got to be careful here because I don't want to blow one of the big surprises just yet. I also don't want to break my neck. All right, cool. So what you're seeing here, and I know it's tough with lighting and everything, but what you're seeing here, so this is going to be behind the desk on the set, or not the desk, the table on the set. So we'll have our low table, which you guys remember, it's going to be the same coffee table, and then we just have a lot of cool things from things that and you can see the studio is really big and cool. We got a great lighting grid here, and we can do all kinds of cool stuff. So I've got books from some of the people that I've had on the show. There's Sam and Kelly Carlin and Nero Brooke and Carl Sagan. Unfortunately, I never had on the show, but I think he's watching, hopefully proud, up above. And we've got some corks. Those are all from bottles of wine that I drank, hopefully not by myself. There's Clyde the Glide. We got some cool just stuff that's going to go on the walls here. So there's just a ton of cool stuff here, and we've got some cameras, and this is the TriCaster over here. It's down there apparently. but that's where Amira's magic will happen. And yeah, we're building this stuff out, and we're doing it not by ourselves, because we're doing it with you actually, but we're physically doing it. Like, we're spray painting stuff, and that's the old table from the old set. We've got green screen so we can do cool animations behind me. Let's see what else. This, I'll give you a little hint. So this wood that's on the floor right here, that's going to be our wood paneling on the side. There's David back there working hard. Oh, that means I'm going to show Amira for a sec. She doesn't want it. She's going to hide. She literally hid. She was there. She's gone now. Okay, I tried. See, that's how I know I have the right people that I'm working with. Anyway, so we got a lot of cool stuff going on, and all right, let's see. I'll jump back into the questions for just another second. And by the way, not only do I appreciate, of course, you guys that have jumped in and thrown some money in on Patreon or PayPal or whatever you did, but for those of you that don't have any money or whatever, you just don't want to share it or whatever it is, that's fine too. And if you just share the videos, if you just retweet things and share them in your little world, or not be afraid to post them on your Facebook page because someone's going to call you gross and racist, then you've done your part too. All right, so I'm going to just jump on and see. Wait, can you get me back to that? Get those questions back there. I lost that. Anyway, very cool, very cool. There's a lot of good stuff going on, and what else can I tell you? Oh, so basically, our plan originally was to shoot test shows today, and then start the show next week. But because a few things got delayed, and we had some problems with this wood down here and blah blah, it looks like we're gonna do the test shows next week, launch the week after. That's gonna happen 100%. Okay, so let's see what else here.
Tell them when the one-on-ones are going to be for the other patrons.
What's that?
When are the rewards going on?
Oh, and then the rewards for all you Patreon people. You guys have been you've been very patient on the reward front. So we are going to get the rewards out to you in the next week or so. We're figuring it out. Should be next week.
First week of every month.
So all right. So going forward, the first week of every month will be when we issue the rewards for the previous month, and then eventually the T-shirts will start going out and the mugs will start going out and all that good stuff. Okay, got some more questions here. Levi says, would love to see you interview Dan Carlin from Common Sense. I absolutely would. I've tweeted at him a couple of times, haven't heard back, but I would be down to do that. That guy, my libertarian friend, says, will you ever do 360 video interviews or virtual reality? I think that would be super cool. And I think we can make that happen because my old friends at Riot, that some of you guys that have been with me for a long time, I was at Riot shortly between TYT and Aura. They've gone full in on the virtual reality thing, and I fiddled with it there at their offices. It's so cool. I mean, they've got some really incredibly cool stuff. So I'm sure I could get them to outfit us for something. So hang tight on that. Susie's, we got 5 minutes left. So if if you haven't jumped in on Patreon, let's see what's going on here. If you haven't jumped in on Patreon, wait, hold on. That was me talking to myself. That was weird. If you haven't jumped in on Patreon, and you do while I'm here for the next 5 minutes, I'll give you a live shout out right here while I finish this up. Jonathan says, get Greg Gutfeld from Fox. I disagree with him on a lot of stuff, but I absolutely would have him on. And he actually mentioned the regressive left on Fox a couple of weeks ago. And it was kind of bittersweet for me because I was like, it's kind of nice. Like it's getting mainstream, right? Like the word itself has permeated mainstream culture. And then on the other hand, it's like, I don't want the right wing to suddenly jump on this and take it from us. But you know what? I don't control nor own the word. So c'est la vie. So, okay, cool. So I'm going to give you guys shout outs for anyone that jumps in while I'm doing this for the next 5 minutes. Fatma and Chris and Levi and Andy. Thank you guys. And Ann just jumped in that second as I said it. So thank you guys all for being part of what we're doing here. It's very cool. And okay, let's finish up strong here. John says, do you worry about the cuck and anti-Jew trolling by the alt-right? You know, my feeling generally, look, I'm a free speech guy. I think if you know anything about me at this point, you guys know I'm a free speech guy. So look, when I see people on Twitter, when I see what people say to, you fucking fag this, fag that, or Jew this, or blah, 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 like whatever they want to say to me, It's like, I don't like reading those things, but if somebody wants to just anonymously, they're always anonymous, right? It's always Pepe Frog, a frog with Trump's hair or something like that. And it's like, you know what, if that's what you want to do, all right. I think a lot of times, like, that's what trolling is all about. There's people that literally are spending all day long saying offensive things to public people just so that they can get heard from. And then what do these public people do? They retweet it, and then they go, look, first off, they make themselves the victim, even though they're usually not really a victim. It's some anonymous wacko saying something to you. Or not even a wacko. It could be some guy just fucking with you, right? Like shit posting, as everybody's saying now. And it's like, so I can't get that offended by that. Words don't offend me. I would battle someone on the battle of ideas, on the battlefield of ideas. That's what I would rather do. But if you're like, you fucking bag, what do you want me to do? All right, congratulations. Like, you want me to get upset by a word? Like, I don't like it. It's not that I like it, but I think that's just kind of how it is. It's just, look, at the end of the day, until you're calling directly for violence, or if people are showing up my house with pitchforks because of what you've been saying about me, then I would not be happy. But short of that, it's like, I think people need to put it into perspective. I know it doesn't feel good, and I don't mean to be dismissive about it, especially if you're not a public person. I expect to get a certain amount of this nonsense, right? And if you're you're the average person you're tweeting about something, and then you suddenly get a barrage of hate, and it's racially motivated or sexuality motivated or something. Of course, it doesn't feel good. But remember, it's just words. It's just words. Okay, cool. Let's see what else here. Can we get a sneak peek of your upcoming guest? That's from Mark. I want to hold it close to the chest on this one because we've got a couple big ones that I'm really working on, and there's a lot of moving parts because the schedule's been a little nuts. But hang tight, and I promise you won't be disappointed. Daniel Neal says, what do you think of Ken Ham? He's the creationist guy who debated Bill Nye. And I met Bill Nye for a second at the Reason Rally a couple of weeks ago. I would have a debate for the two of them. They did it already, and I suspect that certainly Bill Nye would have no desire to do it again. But I would see. But either way, I'd like to have Bill Nye on. Do you like sci-fi books like Asimov? Have you ever read Terry Pratchett? I have never read Terry Pratchett, but I know the name for sure. I do love sci-fi. Almost all of my favorite movies are sci-fi movies. Some of my favorites. So Philip K. Dick wrote a gajillion great books that were turned into things. Total Recall, which is probably my favorite movie of all time. The Schwarzenegger one, not the remake one. That was... Here, we'll get a little FaceTime for Tallulah. There's Tallulah, everybody. The big star here. She doesn't say much. Oh, whoops, she left. You may have seen her for a second. That's not my dog. My dog Emma is at home at the moment. That's the studio dog. All right, they're telling me we got to wrap up here. So, all right, thank you guys. Thank you for doing this. Whether you're on Patreon, if you're on Patreon, I doubly thank you because you're showing me the money, as they say. And you're helping us build this thing, and it's awesome, and I appreciate it, and it's very cool. And I can tell already, like, there's something new happening here. There's some like new way of us kind of getting to know you, me getting to know you, and you getting to know me, and sharing this thing together. Very cool, very cool. And for all you on YouTube that you share the videos in any way or whatever it is, I appreciate that too. It's 4th of July weekend. We're going to do some work, but I'm sure there will be some Coronas and some fireworks and all that good stuff. So I hope you enjoy yours and eat a lot of hot dogs. And if you're not in America, just remember, you have to celebrate the 4th of July or we might come invade you. Okay. Sayonara.